This is KHQA This Morning. It's your news now.
5:41, almost 5:42. Let's call it 5:42. You want to?
It's 5:42.
All right, it's 5:42. It's a Friday. It is rolling along. We hope it's a good one for you. It's always nice to buy something new. At least I like to buy new things.
Yeah, it's always nice to have that fresh new smell, but sometimes it's even more fun to take something old and make it into something new.
If you have the talent. Lindsay Boach does not, but she has friends. Good morning, Lindsay.
Yes, we have some really cool repurposed things. These are some purses that Chris Taylor made. He's a senior at Western Illinois University, fashion merchandising major. How did you come up with these ideas to do this?
Well, I had a good friend of mine who said, I don't like carrying a purse, but I want something that makes me so I don't have to hold my phone. And they didn't want one of the bulky ones that you clip on the side of your hip. And so I said, well, let me take a stab at it. And that's kind of when my creative side started coming out, and have some of the things you see in front of you today.
Explain a little bit about what it takes to do this. These are really, really neat. This one is a bunch of different fabrics. Where did you get the fabrics from?
Some of my fabrics are just old clothes that my family members had. Some of them are some of mine, and I've had friends give me them too when they heard what I started to do. And I just started cutting them up. And
now this one's a little bit different, cutting them up and then sewing them into really cool things. I'm just in awe of this because I don't even think I could come close to making something like this. How do you get the inspiration for these?
Sometimes, you look in your closet. I was looking at a pile, and you see something, you say, I love that fabric, I love that print, I love that texture, but maybe it doesn't fit me, it's not for me. So that's where it all started. You find something that you like, and then you got to figure out something to do with it.
All right, so explain these purses to us just a little bit. This one, what would this be used for?
That one would be just a nice afternoon across the body bag, just to toss your phone, your lipstick, maybe some concealer in, maybe car keys if you really needed to.
And then you have a little bit of a bigger one too. Do you come up with the patterns by yourself, or do you have a model that you go off of?
Absolutely, 100% me. I have recently found a new talent of mine just to kind of have a nice outlet, and so you sit down and you start folding things, and after a little while you say, well, I think that'll work.
All right, and you have some really cool things coming up. We have a frying pan that's now a clock.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about how you came up with that, and also some shoes that look like a fruit. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'm definitely intrigued.
Lindsay now, who's all grown up, and talking about reusing old stuff.
And blushing a little bit, too.
I think it's adorable, Lindsay.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, Tegan's got a pretty good one coming up, too. Yeah, we've been talking about repurposing things and old things and making them new. We have a ton of really cool things here. Chris Taylor, you did all of this.
I did. I picked up some paint that I had lying around my house, and for the most part paint, and got creative.
Now, this is an old t-shirt.
It is. If you have a t-shirt at home that you like the print on, but maybe it washed up kind of funny, or it's just not fit for use anymore, take an old picture frame and some fabric batting and wrap it around and staple gun it on the back, and you have easy art.
And you can just hang this on the wall.
Yeah.
That's really neat. This clock was an old frying pan.
It is. I live with someone who was bound and determined to use the pan that the bottom is peeling out of, and I said enough is enough, and I came home one day and decided to put a hole in the middle of it and make it into a clock.
How did you just drill it?
I actually used kind of a pretty large nail and just struck the hammer a couple times. It's very thin, so you don't really have to worry about doing too much damage to it, and yeah, just put a clock mechanism in the back. It doesn't matter if it's a little messy with the glue, because you're not going to see it, and you hang it up on the wall.
Wow, that's pretty neat. And old wine corks? You can make them into a picture frame. Keep them.
Yes, we earned every one of those wine corks over the last couple of years.
I sure hope so.
Many people that I know save these, and they're not quite sure what to do. And this is just an easy option. We needed something to put on a shelf in our kitchen, and we thought a great picture of friends having a good time and family. And some E6000 is the glue you need for that. And
okay.
It's fantastic. You can pick it up for like $4.
And you use a frame that's kind of thicker and flat.
Yes, you definitely want a flat frame. This one actually has a little outer lip, but it doesn't have to.
Okay. And these are, they were glasses at one point.
Yes, these were actually from a local thrift store. I liked the color of amber that they were and needed some candles to put on my fireplace. So I went to the local home improvement store and purchased a can of spray etch, flipped them upside down, and just spray etched them. and put little, I like LED tea lights, and pop them down inside, and you can line them up on a fireplace on a nice shelf and have instant ambiance.
Now this one is really cool. This was a clock.
Yes.
And now it's a piece of art. And how did you, what is that in the inside?
Well, this is the other half of the clock you see over here. It was hanging in our kitchen. I thought it was just a little too boring.
Oh.
And so I ripped the parts out and took the whole thing apart and started with a background color. I did this for my niece actually, and decided I wanted to create something kind of fun and three-dimensional. It makes a perfect shadow box frame without having to pay the large price for them at the store, and decided on a design and actually cut it out of a Sunkist 12-pack box.
Wow.
And just layered in some thick pieces of cardboard behind with some hot glue and stacked it up, and
Voila.
easy art. Good kids project too.
And shoes too. You can paint shoes
Yes.
and make them your own.
Any type of cloth shoe, be it Chucks, Vans, Keds, if it's like a canvas or fabric material, just buy some gesso from your art supply store. It's fairly inexpensive. Put a nice base coat on. I always put painter's tape around the edges to kind of protect the rubber. Lay on a nice 2 or 3 coats of thick acrylic paint, and then seal it with an acrylic clear spray varnish and protect it from the weather.
Pretty cool. And now we have a t-shirt here. We're going to talk about this here coming up in the next half hour, a cheaper alternative to buying things from, you know, if you want to make a shirt for a family outing, there's maybe 10 of you. Instead of paying for all of that, you can just make your own. We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Well,
I think I should take my old Travis Tritt t-shirt and make it on the thing.
you totally would.
Well, I
you
probably
totally have a
wouldn't.
Travis Tritt t-shirt hanging on your
Lindsay's offered her Hanson t-shirt.
I'm sure.
Since
And
we-
you still have your Hanson t-shirt.
We are talking about repurposing old things and turning them into new things. Chris Taylor here made this amazing dress out of grocery bags. How did you come up with this idea? Where did it come from?
Well, I was assigned a project with my visual merchandising class up at WIU, and I was hunting around for ways to use recycled items, and I put my computer aside and I said, no, I'm going to do a little shopping. And I was looking around and I found wallets made out of plastic bags. So I Googled a process for fusing plastic bags and went back to searching for the project, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have 1 million plastic bags. I can do something with this. And so it's a really simple process. I used an old comforter and put down, I don't have any with me today, but you put down a sheet of newspaper. You'll lay your bags out and you kind of overlap them a little bit. You can trim the handles, you can make them flat, whatever you like. Lay your parchment paper down, iron on a low setting, and just slowly work from the inside and work your way out.
And now you said you recommend doing this in a garage or outside or possibly?
I do. I learned my lesson the first evening. Definitely want to be in a well-ventilated area. It does take some time, so and it takes many layers and many, many bags. I think we have something in the neighborhood of probably about 40 bags here to build at the lengths that you need and the weight of the fabric.
So how long did this take you?
This probably took me maybe 4 evenings, 5 evenings, just to get the basic part of it put together. And then it just came down to sewing the seams to make it you know, into the pieces. I kind of created my own pattern, but you could use a pattern from a store, depending on what you were using it for, and just sew it on the machine on a basting stitch, and you definitely want to take your time.
So you used a machine for this?
Some of it, just piecing the sections together, yes.
Wow, I'm totally amazed at this. And you said 4 or 5 days, or evenings, but how long did you spend?
I probably spent total maybe about 20 hours.
Wow, so 4 hours a night.
Just about, yes. On and off, of course, because the fumes do become a little much. So you want to make sure that make sure you're doing it in a garage that's open, and a nice box fan going works well too.
And then we have a t-shirt here too. We were talking a little bit earlier off camera about, you know, if you have like a family function or things like that, spray painting a t-shirt works just as easily as going out and buying one.
It does. Going out to screen printing shops can become quite expensive, especially if you only need 10 t-shirts, and some of those places have minimums and you have to pay to have the screen made. I printed this logo, which is for our Facebook page, Reconsumed for You. You can look it up if you like. But I printed it and used an X-Acto knife to cut it out. Here I made the stencil. Here I used the pieces from the stencil just to kind of show variety. Lay them down, a quick, very thin coat of primer in the garage, of course, or outdoors, and then pick your paint and go on top. Machine wash, very quick, very easy. It'll cost you, I don't know, depending on how big of a paint can you get and how much the shirts are, maybe $3 a t-shirt.
Wow, so you've definitely taken things, we've been talking all morning about taking things and repurposing them. If you missed any of that, don't worry, I will throw it all on YouTube and put a link to it on our Facebook page. Thank you so much, Chris,
Thank you,
for
Lindsay.
joining us this morning. Tegan?